Greetings Multiverse! The Death of Superman is now available in the stores, and it's a fantastic animated film, updating and modernising the classic Superman tale, the most popular graphic novel ever made, as the only place where you get to see Wonder Woman take on Doomsday. And we're already pumped for the sequel, The Reign of the Supermen. And the end of Death of Superman sets up a number of things that will pay off in the sequel. Most notably, a number of post-credit scenes, featuring new characters who we'll be seeing in The Reign of the Supermen. So we thought we'd take a look at them and explain them for people who might not be familiar with the original graphic novel, especially as the DC animated movie universe is a little different to how things were originally. Starting just before the end credits, there's a scene where Lois and Jimmy rushes to the final resting place of Superman underneath the giant statue of him, where his body is missing, and hovering above the golden statue is a mysterious shadowy figure with a cape. Now, there are a number of characters this could be, but as we'll find out in a moment, there's really only one person it could be, and that is the Eradicator, who here is calling himself the last son of Krypton. He's basically a computer program that fuses himself with Superman's DNA and creates a sort of clone, but an imperfect one. He tries to be Superman and never quite succeeds. How do we know it's him rather than one of the other Supermen, who we're going to get introduced to in a moment? Well, let's look at the other end credit scenes, and you'll see that it can only be the Eradicator. The first end credit scene shows a lot of damaged equipment, presumably at Star Labs. Something's apparently broken out, and what seems to be a young boy walks away from it. This is the Superman clone, Superboy. There's been a recent leaked photo of him, and he's looking much the same as he did in the graphic novel. Very early 90s, very attempting to be cool, and very not Superman. This is not quite the Connor Kent you know from Young Justice. He's probably far closer to Impulse in terms of personality. Really cocky, and frankly quite annoying, but he'll have a major role to play in Reign of the Supermen. And yes, he'll be carrying that jacket that he takes off the wall for the rest of the movie. The next scene shows a different kind of lab deep underground, where a black male character is hammering out some sort of armour with the S brand of Superman. This of course is John Henry Irons, Steel, who we met earlier on in the film, who in the absence of Superman takes it upon himself to build a super suit made out of steel and fight for the same values as Superman. And unlike all the other characters in Reign of the Supermen, he is the one Superman imposter who never actually claims to be Superman. He just wears the shield. The next scene is possibly the most interesting one, as it shows where the Kryptonian spaceship went that bust out of Star Labs just before the end credits, and we also get to see a glimpse of the red cloaked figure who is undoubtedly the same guy who took Superman's body. Well, we presume he took Superman's body, and he's using the Kryptonian ship to create one of the most iconic landmarks in the DC universe, Superman's Fortress of Solitude, looking much as it did in Richard Donner's Superman the movie. And the most important thing to realise here is while the Fortress of Solitude plays a huge part in the Death of Superman story, particularly in The Reign of the Supermen, but it is not actually in the current DC animated movie universe, which is why it's only being introduced now. And it's interesting that the Eradicator is the one who is bringing it together. He considers himself, especially in the new Rebirth storylines, as the repository of all of Krypton's knowledge and culture, which is why he's sometimes at odds with Superman, who he feels is betraying the House of Al and Krypton. Still, it's nice to see the Fortress of Solitude, even if a supervillain is the one who makes it. And speaking of supervillains, the final end credits scene, which takes place at the very end of the end credits, this is our best look at any of the Supermen who are going to be introduced in the next movie. This is the Cyborg Superman, also known as Hank Henshaw, who was introduced earlier on in the movie, desperately hoping that Superman was going to save them. And of course, Superman doesn't. We're not sure in this case how he became Cyborg Superman, but we're sure it's going to be explained in the next movie. In the comic version, he had an alliance with Mongol, the ruler of Warworld, and in the absence of Superman, the Cyborg Superman pretends to be him, gains America's trust, and then attempts to destroy the world, basically, even obliterating Coast City, the home of Hal Jordan, which set Hal off on a very dark storyline in the original comics that it took him a very long time to return from. So that's all the end credits scenes, and you'll note that the Eradicator is the only one who is already present. All the other Superman imposters are getting ready or are on their way, and so the Eradicator can be the only one who was at Superman's grave. The end credits scenes basically set up all the new Supermen coming in The Reign of the Supermen. Of course, the big question is, will Superman actually return? We think you can count on it. But how will the story differ from the original comic? Will Mongol feature at all? How similar will the characters be to their graphic novel incarnation? Will the Justice League get involved, especially when some of them turn bad? Guess we'll find out when The Reign of the Supermen releases in 2019. Thanks for watching, folks. If you have any more insight about the death and return of Superman that you want to share, please leave a comment below, and of course subscribe to DC Comics Gamer for everything on the worlds of DC. Thanks for watching, folks. Multiverse out.